Welcome to one of the most unreasonable videos that I've ever done. With 100 commanders loading into full metal plate, 50 for the Cortex in the red and 50 for the Armada in the blue, we're finally going to decide which faction is best. And beyond all reason, the total Annihilation inspired, open source, free-to-play, volunteer-developed, massively multiplayer online real-time strategy game. Or, bar for short. But it will cost you a big chunk of your free time and even more of your sanity. So before we get started, it'd be amazing if you could smash that like button and maybe even subscribe. Help me count the algorithm. And Jimmy, what do we have? You gotta ask at the start, all right? I know it's 10. 1,050 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways because I don't know what else I'd do in my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. The commander's not bound by the normal restrictions of beyond all reason. Usually the early game is dominated by going out, finding some metal extractors, trying to scratch a little bit out of the ground so you can build those first units. Thankfully here, for all the commanders here on Full Metal Plate, the entire map is a metal extractor, which means the resources will scale at a rate inversely proportional to the FPS of pretty much all the players in the game. Yes, we will be seeing a ridiculous amount of units. We will be testing the 32,000 unit limit that is almost impossible to hit for physical, hardware, and network restriction reasons. But we're already 1/32nd of the way there with 1,000 units on the field. You can see it above the player list, which, good luck reading that. But the resource incomes in the top right, red versus blue, already scaling to 8K energy a second. The first units headed across the map, and both factions do have a unique set of units. A lot of them have equivalent roles, but on each faction, and the soon-to-be official Legion faction as well, which is not here today, alright, only the old bots club, but both sides with similar but distinctly different units, like the Grunt versus the Pawn, and, well, the Ticks, on the other hand, uniquely and aptly named, will be taken out by the Grunt easily. The Ticks like swarming wherever units aren't and scouting across the map, already getting some damage done, and very accurately named, I will say. So many times. I hate Tick. I'm not here to editorialize, I'm here to commentate. But, as we've seen in these matches, a coherent push by a significant portion of the players is going to make all the difference. Thankfully, here on Full Metal Plate, the best equivalent is fastest map possible. FMP, if you would, from StarCraft, or I think they have some in Warcraft as well. But effectively unlimited resources if you're able to build the facilities to gather them. We already see the metal extractors just in the ground. It looks so weird if you're used to playing. Wind turbines bringing some energy in as well, as wind is locked to 25 energy per second, which is higher than pretty much any other map in the game. It gives you unparalleled access to those resources, which means this map could be over incredibly quickly compared to even some of our other massive team games. We will see, though, as the first exchanges, those tier 1 units just maneuvering around, some of the vehicles running right by. The bots usually favored on maps with more terrain features than Iowa, but here we are. As we see both sides heading across, the Grunts marching, a few res bots as well out there gathering up the metal left behind by the scrap. The Pawns versus Grunts, the eternal showdown between the Armada Pawns, and I think it's a pretty good demonstration of the difference. The Cortex favor the more reliable long-range laser or mid-range lasers, usually don't have the highest DPS, but are reliable with more HP. Armada units, stereotypically, are faster, more DPS, but sometimes feature less accurate weapons, or just are more fragile in general. So the Cortex are about stability, and Armada about speed and finesse. And there are so many exceptions to that rule that I'm sure you could argue about for literally years, but that's why you should join the Discord and find like-minded or anti-like-minded individuals. The Pawns and the Grunts having an intimate conversation. The Grunts will not survive it. The initial exchanges gathering any from the few matches we've seen of this scale on this map. It's about real estate. Even though you technically don't need to capture more ground in order to gather more resources, really, having any sort of buffer zone between you and the entire back half of the base exploding simultaneously is good. I know, it sounds like an advanced tactic, but not having your entire base explode is something to work towards. What do we have here? Oh, the Centurions. The anti-swarm bots, great at taking down dozens of smaller units. Very rapid fire, even if relatively low damage weapons. Anti-swarm units, very important. The more spam units there are on the field. I'm just noticing the top-ranked player on the blue team, the Armada team, is Classic. And I am not 100% sure that is not the player who just took second in the StarCraft 2 World Finals. I mean, I believe they're from Poland, but, you know, they could just be obfuscated. You know, Classic, the only reason he lost to Cyril is he was spending too much time playing Bar. I choose to believe. That's now my headcanon. And speaking of cannons, the thugs getting overrun by the blitzes as they chase across the field. Blitzes from 3 different players just punching right through the front lines. Already some Zars and Incisors coming out from the Cortex, but they've actually gotten really far in. And we'll be able to take down a lot of the frontline economy. I'm sure there's plenty of players at the back panicking right now, or so zoomed in that they can't even tell what's happening at the front. That's usually what I feel like my teammates are doing, but still. The blitzes making it past the front will help, and a lot of the units being pulled back as well. Already some artillery tanks. Tremor, not the unit, the player, out there on the field. Only a few commanders have been bold enough to move so far forward. But against tier 1 units, the commanders are more than capable of taking them out, especially with the combination of that D-gun. Oh no, Pooh Man is getting... Oh, I love this choice. The Armed Exploiter, one of the variable options. It's not just units, but it's also utility options like armed extractors. The Cortex have armed metal extractors at tier 2. Whereas the Armada, I believe, have stealth extractors, which are useful on normal maps where you want to hide things from your opponent. But here, there's no hiding from anyone. Everyone knows where everyone else is. I do like how some players have walled in their own base to try to claim some private property. We'll see if their teammates respect that in any way. But already, dozens of pawns moving by. Combining with the blitzes, generally those Armada units seem to be making a lot of progress in towards the economy, but only superficial damage. First bolt! Is that the first one, really? We're like 7 minutes in. Yes! The first commander to fall is Cortex. Interesting. Now the Cortex to the south with their tanks moving forward. The Pounders. Centurions trying to match it. A bomber coming in, helping to deal with it, but the constant line of tanks will continue across. And right now, they don't really have much to match it. Commanders on the side. Bombing runs continually strafing. But projectiles do not discriminate between friendly and not so friendly units. More bombers overhead. This is on the new lighting update, by the way. You can see some of the jet trails on the bombers and just the general lights across the board. Part 1 of the Lightbringer update. The next update is effectively the Darkbringer update because night mode is the new thing being tested. Might even affect solar panels and other sort of environmental things, not just graphics. I'm looking forward to that as well. But more pawns, a legion of pawns, if you would, marching forward. The Armada continuing to muster. As the reinforcements from either side. Not too many tier 2 units, but you see a few of them. There's a Starlight over on the right side there, over the top of the battle, looking like a turret, because it's effectively a turret that moves slowly. Very long range, one of the best tier 2 snipers, besides the Sharpshooter, which is also a tier 2 sniper. The Starlight's lighting up those brutes in the front. Just lancing right through them. Meanwhile, some aircraft, gunships making quite a run on the wind turbines over to the right side. Gunships in general can get shot out of the sky by fighters easily, but it doesn't seem like there's much fighter control. There's a lot of options for anti-ground as well. Moving over, those gunships just continually strafing. Most units can hit up, only some of them are good at it though. Most units will try to fire their weapons into the air, but to mediocre effectiveness if they're not dedicated anti-air options. Those gunships just continually strafing. Those are those are not they're banshees, which serve the same role they do in StarCraft 2. Well, maybe a bit more spammable, but some welders as well. The tier 2 anti-swarm bots with chain lightning cannons. The Cortex. Well, let's get a full overview. Who needs a mini-map when you have the map? But you can see swaths of units on either side. We are still at the brawling phase. Before the weapons get so damaging and have such a massive area of effect, that's when you can get up close and personal. But pretty soon, we're going to start seeing so many long-range weapons, only the smallest units will be able to slip by. Now let's bring the icons up. Trying to manage the audio in this game. Well, we're already up to 13,000 units. That does include buildings, but let me see if I can get a gauge of... There are currently 916 wind turbines. Oh my, I'm losing track. Nobody cares how many wind turbines, they just care about results. Well, there we are. More bombers strafing the front line. Alongside the recluses, the all-terrain rocket spiders against the Cortex Czars. Czars doing massive splash damage to the spiders, obliterating half of them at once. Czars very good at pushing through the front line as long as they have any coverage. Spiders, definitely one of those units more useful when there's something to climb that isn't a flat plane, but they're still very high DPS on their own. You see, facing down. This is what it looks like to be on the front line. Facing down the enemy. Some artillery tanks. More to the front. There's some bulls there from the Armada. A mammoth. The largest tier 2 bot. Holding the line. Great single target laser damage. Tremors. Firing off rapid artillery. Anything in that general area is going to be unhappy. And some tier 3 Shivas are on the field. Firing off their rockets as well. The Starlights, though, moving forward. If they have coverage, they're definitely the best for pushing, even against tier 3. Seeing dozens of metal extractors queued up. It's not enough. Having hundreds of thousands is not enough. Somebody has queued up defenses. Is that advanced fusions? That seems optimistic. Oh, demons as well on the field from the Cortex. The demon flamethrower. They're a super fire bat. Fascinating. Yes, somebody has decided to queue up an entire line of advanced fusion reactors, which is a bad idea. And that is a massive, massive understatement. Though, on the bright side, I guess it's unlikely they'll make any progress with that. Armada is definitely pushing. We see Teddy, the top player on the Cortex, trying to hold the line. A whole lot of tremors on the field, just spraying and praying in the general direction. That's Cortex versus Armada in a nutshell. The Starlights with their intense single target lasers punching through, where the Cortex are saying, that area in particular. That's what I want to destroy. The tremors raining down 16,000 units on the field. And more being taken out by the second. They're being replaced faster than they can be taken down. And there are thousands going down every few seconds. Commander has been annihilated. The smoke starting to cover as well from all the explosions. The wreckage does actually have collision as well as being reclaimable for metal. The tremors doing so much. What's happening to the south? The Armada is punching through entirely here. Another commander down, 47 on the Cortex. Still so many commanders intact. The overall metal income is 13k apiece. 270k energy for Cortex. 240k per second, by the way, for the Armada. The army value is 30% higher. 680k metal in army value for Armada. That's a lot. A commander drop. Nuclear missiles are launched. Commander dropped onto the front lines. Tremors firing across the board. The commander tried to get up close and personal. There's nothing intercepting that nuke. It'll slam down the center of the push. And a lot of it will fall. The commander is still marching forward. Yudi going for the production. If he could get close enough, the explosion could potentially chain react. He's cloaked behind the lines. The Cortex will finally take him out, but he takes one in trade. And that breaks through some more of the defenses. God, the tremors. Tactical nuclear missiles, something that cannot be intercepted. Those tremors are ridiculous. Well, this area is covered as the tremors rain down on that entire zip code. The catapults as well, another unit of the same style, fires off dozens of rockets in a general area and helps break through lighter defenses. The Cortex all about quantity having a quality all the time. So many czars. Army value evening out now. It looks like the nuke helped dramatically in actually pushing back the dragons in the sky, burninating across the countryside. And there's not much anti-air to deal with them. Even with fighters, the dragons have so much HP. They're not taken down quickly. A whole bunch of Vanguard plasma cannons, long-range artillery on a few sets of legs. But the Cortex definitely losing ground. They do have some very strong tier 3 options, but this mass of Vanguards could just punch through anything in range. Oh, more fire and more fury to the north. The dragons above and the demons on the ground, laying down covering fire in the most literal sense. The defensive lines with the starlights and the pulsar turrets. So far, not quite enough to break through, and the tremors are moving forward. The catapults as well. The plasma shields won't hold forever, and a lot of the missiles go right through it. It's kind of Star Wars rules where lasers will get blocked, but slow enough I guess more like Dune rules. Either way, some just basic projectiles will go through the shield, but it will block lasers and higher velocity projectiles. Well, it will deflect them. It will not block them. They will get deflected nearby, potentially hitting anything in range. The starlights. A nuke intercepted. That's why I was so close to the camera there. So many fighters as well. The back lines are just completely coated. 18,000 units. We're pushing the limit of anything I've ever seen in a game. Clearly starting to chug along a little bit, as even Beyond All Reason is struggling a bit here. Those Vanguards using their high velocity trajectory for range there. More cannons being launched. Is that a frontline Ragnarok long-range plasma cannon? That's a game ender, or at least it's intended to be. The most powerful at sniping the infrastructure, potentially taking out all those fusion reactors. More massive explosions. The Armada clearly breaking through. There's some juggernauts down the center. Facing off. Don't talk to me or my estranged son ever again. The Titan. The tallest and hardest tier 3 unit, easily bullied by the Juggernaut. Of course, the Juggernaut comes with quite a proportional cost. The Titan's significantly more maneuverable and spammable. 18.6 thousand units. I don't know if we can break 20k. I don't know if my PC will break at 20k. They are rezzing our dead. Some Cortex units may show up for the Armada as they use Resbots by the dozen, by the 100, in order to resurrect them. The Dragons are holding for now. But if one side breaks... Is that a nuke? Landing in the midst of all these Vanguards. Another nuke! Just obliterating the line. And down goes, between that and the cleansing fire of the Dragons, it's total annihilation for the Armada. Driven back completely. But you can tell the glaring lack of infrastructure at that part of the map. Though the Cortex is starting to push forward. We see a lot of long-range cannons firing onto the shields. The entire map is just filled. 20k metal a second for the Cortex and 490k energy. Marginally more. Their army value slightly higher. The Armada has had the advantage, but the Cortex has the economy. And in my opinion, slightly stronger tier 3 options for a straight-up brawl where we sit and fire at each other down the center of the map. We'll see if that's enough. The Tremors have broken the line. Those advanced fusions are still queued up from someone probably at the back who's lagged out 10 minutes ago. Dragons moving through. But the Vanguards have chosen another angle. They weren't able to break all the way through, but now they're working on the front line to the north. A nuke? What? I think that... Oh my... What just happened there? A nuke, but it didn't actually take... Maybe a deflection. But nuclear bombers coming in for the Armada, unique to them. Kind of the equivalent of the Dragon. The nuclear bombers, single target, but a lot of... well, small radius, but very good at taking out smaller or medium-sized targets instantly. 2 shots commanders as well. Really part of the Armada trend of being very good at their specific job, whereas the Cortex being pretty good at almost everything. But another flight of bombers going forward. The Dragons moving to match them, though they don't really have anti-air capability. The bombers try to take out some of the front line. We have multiple Calamity long-range plasma cannons. Already a few of them firing across the board. Front line being hit. Fusions exploderated. Another nuke. 3, 4 more nukes. Firing on the front line to clear out the Vanguards. And suddenly the Armada starting to lose a lot of ground to nuclear hellfire. I don't believe we have terrain deformation here on Full Metal Plate because that would literally break the server and also is part of the map feature of being just a Full Metal Plate. Nukes firing from either side. That one intercepted. Let's see. Looks like more are landing. Launching them pretty short. Another intercepted. If it gets too close to the anti-nuke range, those missile interceptors will go up and knock it out of the sky. Currently, 45 to 40 commanders in favor of the Armada. But really the commanders will go with the economy. And the Armada right now actually has inferior economy compared to the Cortex, which is burning past the northern side. They're getting close to the advanced fusions. I'm not sure what a chain reaction could look like, but it's certainly not going to be good for the blue team. The fusions exposed and incinerated. Oh, something hit the back line. I think something bounced off one of the shields. The deflectors. Oh no, it lost all the construction turrets. Not quite enough. Somehow the fusion survived, but the plasma cannon shots are being deflected into the back line. There's no shield covering. This is a recipe for unmitigated disaster. Some of the shots flying off into the sunset, but some might create a new one. Another nuke. Another interceptor. That nuke's gonna land. Wait, that nuke's gonna land close. Direct hit! Oh no. It's a disaster! A big chunk of the front line is obliterated by the nuclear missile. 2 from the Cortex. The dead zone down the center continues. Nuclear bombers. But the Vanguards! Oh no.
Commander destroyed.
The Vanguard's direct hit takes out so many. The army value now 20% in favor of the Cortex. Another explosion, more nukes. Many of the units at tier 3 also explode like a small nuke if they get close enough. The Juggernaut, the Titan to a lesser extent. The long-range artillery is slamming into the dozens of shields on either side. There is a finite amount of shielding they can do. They will eventually drain. They can only recharge so quickly. These shields, it seems like they're faltering. The barrage from the Cortex is breaking through. Some shots are being deflected forward. Another couple nukes. One goes to the north, cuts off some of the reinforcements. But it feels like the Cortex have retaken the momentum, breaking through towards the north side. The Ragnaroks are firing against the Calamities, the long-range plasma cannon exchange. Lich atomic bombers. Looking for a target. Another volley of nukes. 3 interceptors up to match them. Oh, but the ground army broke through. The northern line is broken. The Dragon's taking full advantage, incinerating the rest of the production. More Dragons headed south. The line is holding for the Armada, but it may be rolled up from the top down. They're almost to the fusions in the back. I don't think there's any stopping them. There's not enough anti-air left. 1 or 2 flak turrets. That's not enough. Oh no, this is bad. Oh, this is very bad.
Commander destroyed.
There's no holding that. There it goes! The entire quadrant is taken down. And another big chunk of the Armada economy with it. The splash damage continues, and now the Cortex units are piling in from the north side. The advantages the Armada gained early, paling in comparison. Alright, we have the Juggernaut. We have the Behemoth, modeled after your mother. The Titans, as well, trying to match them, but it's not enough. The anti-nuke is being taken out. The nukes are landing. They broke the front line of the Armada, allowed the units to break through to the back. And the Cortex has a nearly insurmountable advantage now. No. One of the few games of this scale that I've actually seen turn around. It looked like Armada would break through, but I think the Cortex has now completely overtaken the lines. Armada has a chance if they punch through to the south at a greater rate than they're getting decimated to the north. There's a chance. There's a dream. There's a hope. Unlikely though. More nuclear volleys on either side. Anti-nukes only on one of them. Another chain reaction. More to the front line. The Thors! The chain lightning tanks trying to work their way past. But the dragons are there to meet them. 4, wait, no, 6 nuclear missiles. There's no anti-nuke. Where is it firing? Looks like it's going close. Fires off an entire volley. Oh, wait. The anti-nuke comes into range. I think they moved up one of the mobile anti-nuke vehicles. And it fired off later, but now the demons immolating the rest of it cauterized. We're down to 16,000 units. I think we capped out around 19K. But the Armada has clearly been put in the corner by the Cortex. They now have so much space for activities. Those demons breaking through over to that right side. Another nuclear volley, possibly the last one, as the silos are about to get obliterated. But the anti-nuke, there goes the fusions, and with it, the nuclear silos. There's a summoning circle of constructors here, but they're still working on the economy. Now is not the time. The Titan's holding. Oof. The plasma cannons landing, fighting till the bitter end. But I believe this is indeed the end for the Armada. I want to make it clear, as we get to this endgame stage, this is not representative of your average multiplayer game. This is part of the 50K Discord multiplayer event. There are large events. If you're in the game or on the Discord, you can find 32, 64 players on a pretty regular basis, but they must be moderated by a moderator or a developer, because the servers sometimes break, which is not ideal. But the normal game size is 16 players and still 32,000 units. I love the Raptor defense mode as well, personally, which you can always find a few lobbies of that, and you can find more streams on this channel of me playing that. I really like it. So the chain reactions of fusions are not usually as decisive as when everybody's jammed in here so tightly. But it is great for the spectacle, I think, on occasion. I'd like and subscribe if you agree. I know it's not an easy game to get into. I have a few guides. There's someone I could recommend, Super Kaido. You can find some of his guides much more professionally done and recent for some of the basics. But, oh wow. As we can see, the Cortex, the superior faction. I do think Cortex does have stronger late game options in the form of dragons, as well as juggernauts. Just the slow, steady, and hard to take down units that are likely to punch through. Like here. With the dragons working their way over the fusions. Ooh. Those new explosion effects with the new update, giving that shock wave that I think actually kind of represents the splash damage a little better too. And most importantly, looks cool. The Cortex closing in on victory. The Armada obliging by fighting till the bitter end. But the end it is. I think a pretty good utilization of all the separate units, which have similar roles but different functionality. Like, for example, the nuclear bombers didn't have much of an effect here, but they're very good in smaller multiplayer games at sniping off key units. The dragons less so, because there's usually not enough economy to mass them to such a crazy extent. Things like rattlesnakes, or, razorbacks. Oh, there goes the neighborhood. Wow, that's the big one. Icing on the explosive cake. Down to 11,000 units. Almost all of them on the Cortex side. I apologize for this. Overall, 9.8k, 20k units lost to 30k. The Armada losing such a obscene amount, however much metal. Millions upon millions of energy. Nukes landing wherever they're fired now. There's no more anti. The last commanders. 3, 2, 1. Commander drop coming in for the dunk.
Commander has been annihilated.
And there you go.
So that's how
The Cortex is victorious. After 30 minutes, tens of thousands. Oh, somebody self-destructing. Like many players will do at the very end of the game. For dramatic effect. I think quite an exchange. And honestly, I didn't really expect the turnaround. I'm always excited when... So, because of the technical restrictions, it can be very difficult to change the trajectory of the game. One, because there's so many players. Individual impact is less relevant. And two, many of the players are at such a frame rate they can't really do anything. But here we saw the Cortex mitigate the damage to the south, push through to the north, and eventually roll that all the way down into a victory, while the center on both sides held strong. So, well played to the Cortex, but also well played to the Armada. One of the most fun and dynamic, especially considering the map and circumstances of these matches. But remember, beyond all reason, I've been told that free-to-play is incorrect. Free-to-play gives you the idea of, like, you can buy a bunch of clown skins and put them on your face for 15 bucks a piece and get a horse and armor for 30. No, free-to-play means you literally can't pay for it. I think you can donate to the devs, but it's all volunteer-based. Just beyondallreason.info in the description. And also, a lot of people are like, no, this is Supreme Commander. No. Beyond All Reason is based on the engine based off of Total Annihilation. Supreme Commander is more like a second cousin. And though you can find more info on Beyond All Reason. Yeah. Not that it really matters. Good games are the ones I like to play and show for the fans. So, thank you for watching. I certainly hope you enjoyed. And if you did, it'd be awesome if you could like and subscribe. If you got the means and motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership, but liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. So, thank you again. I hope I made your day a little bit better. Good luck, have fun. I'll see you next time. Stay unreasonable.